going on, people? Mr. Anti-Lock here, back with the greatness that is Shokugeki no Soma, Chapter 83, entitled The Chaser and the Chase. In the beginning of the chapter, we get a glimpse into Mimasaka's process of swagger jacking. What he is actually doing is immersing his soul within the person whose techniques that he's stealing. In this case, is Soma. Now, he got the bandana tie, he got the secret Yakahiro recipe, blah blah blah, but he's actually becoming the person that he's trying to take the techniques and recipes from, which I found pretty interesting. And the reason why I found that pretty interesting is because this man has no specialty of his own. Then we go back to the test kitchen with Mitsuru and Soma, and he's still going through these recipes. He's adding different spices. He's trying to figure out a way to make this beef stew the best beef stew that one has ever tasted. He said there's three properties. There's the meat, there's the fond, and there is the demi-glace itself. Now, what makes that part so very interesting is that yes, those are the parts that make a beef stew. And how can he make this different? Him and Mitsuru are going through the testing phases of this recipe, and Mitsuru can't get enough of Soma's cooking, which I found that pretty funny, that instead of just tasting it, Mitsuru actually ate all of the things, and there's a panel with him and his stomach is like really huge. I thought that was really funny. But the only way that Soma can find out the flaws in his own recipe is to have somebody taste them and point them out. And I wonder, who could this man possibly get to give an intricate answer to his question? This man actually went to the house of God's palette arena, and what's so funny is that she's such a debutante that you can't just walk into this woman's house. You can't walk into the God's Palate's house, the granddaughter of the director of the whole academy. This man actually got in on a funny note because Alice was walking out and let him in. I thought that was hilarious. Going into the next part of this chapter, Erina is reading manga, and not just any manga. She's reading shoujo, which means that besides the fact of her being an uptight debutante, she does have a softer side. When she finishes the volume, she calls out to her assistant Hisako, and she's like, she was looking to get the next chapter, the next volume of this manga she was enjoying, apparently. And then she realizes that Hisako took a leave of absence, and the reason why she took this leave of absence was because she lost in the election. So I'm thinking Hisako went on a pilgrimage to master her medicinal cooking, and I think that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see her get back. We get a ring at the bell. Erina rushes to the door thinking that Hisako came back from her pilgrimage or her leave of absence, and come to find out it's Yakahiro and Mitsuru. Soma actually wants her to taste his dish and find the flaws, but the thing about it is, she's God's palate. This woman actually has high-class restaurants hire her to taste their dishes and choose the flaws. So for a normal student to come to her door to try this dish was just insane. And she's like, everything I just stated, and that, I'm not just gonna taste your dish. I'm on the election committee, so I can't really do this. Yakahiro notices that she's reading a popular manga. And he's like, oh wow, I didn't know you read that. And she quickly hides it behind her back like, don't pay that any attention or whatever. And I thought that was really freaking funny. So he says, somebody from the Polar Star has all of the volumes of that particular manga. And then the light bulb goes off in her head, Before I even get any further, what I thought was funny was that Soma and Mitsuru actually were digging in their pockets to pull out pocket change to pay this woman to taste the dish. And she's like, you do not have enough money in your pockets for me to taste this dish. Now I got two idiots in front of me, and it's like idiots times two. That part was pretty funny. But the irony of this part was that she did end up tasting Soma's cooking. And the reason why she tasted it was the fact that Soma could possibly get her the other volumes of this manga. So she was like, you know what? You guys don't have the money, but I will make an exception for another price. And she tastes it. Off the back, this is God's palate. She didn't even have to look. I mean, she didn't even have to taste the man's cooking to know the ingredients within it. I guess she could smell it, because if you don't know, miso permeates a smell, a specific smell. So she got that right off the back and called it, oh, you got light brown miso in this stew. I could just see that. And Mitsuru is in awe that she was able to determine what Soma put in his beef stew without even tasting it. Now she tastes the beef stew, and she's like, if you were serving this in a mainstream restaurant, then it'd be fine. But for this particular gourmet challenge, it's not good enough. And another thing she pointed out was that Yakahira Soma, that's his last name if you didn't know, that he doesn't really understand what this challenge is. And for the next panels, we get Ishiki and Setsuzaimon, who is the chairman of the academy. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy who, when he eats food, he strips butt naked, and I think that's hilarious. But the point of this is that Ishiki is there to thank him for taking part in the first parts of the elections and to discuss who are going to be the next judges, and also that Setsuzaimon will judge the final round of the elections. Now what's crazy is, for this round of the elections, which happens to be a Shokugeki, one of the special judges is going to be, for all you ladies out there who read this series, your boy Gin Dojima. And you get that man service panel for all the ladies out there at the end, which is a bombshell. And not to mention, I have to laugh, in the bottom left corner, he does a Hisoka pose. I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, that is a huge bombshell of this chapter, that Gin is going to be the judge of this round. I thought that was epic. Overall, another great chapter of Shokugeki no Soma. If you're not reading this, and I guess if you're watching this review, you probably do, but it was epic. I was very happy with this chapter, and I also thought that it was a good flashback chapter, because last chapter we was left with Soma and Mimasaka about to go into the Shokugeki / election round. So to get this small backstory into how Soma is actually taking the time to develop this dish, I thought was amazing. Again, Shokugeki no Soma is a great series. I really hope any of you guys take the time to check it out if you're just watching this review to watch it. But it's a great series, and this was a great chapter. And I know you ladies love the man service that we got this week. epicness for you ladies. But for me, the epic part of this chapter was that Irina reads manga. That was so cool to me. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will definitely see you guys next week for chapter 84 Shokugeki no Soma. Hopefully we get the battle that I've been longing for. Peace.